Okay, so you want to do a hair trigger mod, or maybe my type of hair trigger mod. The way I do it depends on what you're using. The MOSFET I'm using doesn't send a large current to these trigger contacts, so I can possibly get away with extending here with just solder just a tiny bit and Dremel off the excess on the trigger contact. And then down here I would put a little bit of JB weld in front of the trigger right here so that this can come up still but block it a little bit better, because right now it allows me to pull the trigger a little too far. It's actually farther than that, but I'm trying to hold with one hand. So how to be successful with the hair trigger mod really depends on what you see. The arm on the back here that goes to the trolley is in fact sometimes affected differently. Sometimes it's short, sometimes it could be a little too long. Now in this case it's a little bit longer, so with a light trigger pull like right here, the cutoff engages perfectly. So the closer we get moving the trolley would be bad. So what we want to do is have just a tiny bit so that when we get to that spot right there, right here, it would still engage the cutoff and pull the trolley away. Now the way this works is this trigger goes forward, pushing the trolley this way, and the spring up here puts resistance against the trolley. Now in semi, the cutoff is hit by the cam on the bottom right here. This one's dual sector, so it's hitting twice. Actually not twice, it's hitting for half the spin. So you hit once, it's going to go off on half the spin, and then the other half the spin when you pull it again. But basically I meant it's got two cams on the bottom, I guess that's what we call them. And so first thing is to check how it grabs your trigger trolley. You can simply just pull the trigger a little bit and try to nudge on the trigger trolley. Right there you can see it doesn't really grab it, or it's not underneath it. So we slide here and we know it's underneath it. So if we pull this, then we can't pull this up. It's right there, we're good to go. So the trick is also to make sure that this cutoff can get underneath the trolley arm, which is down in there. It's on the opposite side. Let's pull out some old trolleys to kind of show that. Let's see, where are my old trolleys? Right here. Here's some old trolleys. This is a mess around with trigger modifications. So let's see. One's already got some stuff on it. It looks like a G&G one, so I won't even have to add one. See right there, it's got some solder already on it, prepped. That was for something else, and then I guess I didn't use it. So here's one right here, trolley with the arm, and this one doesn't look modified at all. So we can see here the arm is right there. Now if the cutoff engages too close, then the arm might need to be sanded or cut down just a little bit right here so that it can engage over the top of it and grab underneath it. You're going to know when you keep pulling the trigger and you're messing with it. What you can do is pull the trigger and push underneath it right here at the trolley, and now prop the trolley over the trigger. Another thing to watch out for is when you pull the trigger, to make sure that you can pull it completely and it does not disengage the trolley automatically. What that means is if this lip right here, the trigger, is too short, it will just go forward and you'll lose your power connecting, and that can be bad for you too, because then you won't get what you want. So again, you don't want to add JB weld or any material to this thing, because you can see right there it would be in the way. You want to add it to the part up here instead at the top. So you add it there, there would be no gap. There's basically is basically a gap. See the gap right there? And that gap allows the trigger to go forward, which I don't like, so I'm going to fix that and address it. But basically that's how the whole thing works. Another modification is adding a pin to the trolley to extend the arm. So your cutoff is maybe too short, or excuse me, it's too long, and you need to extend the arm so that it can grab it a little bit sooner. Now, some people actually cut down on the cutoff, but I usually don't mess with that. What I try to do is do the simplest, easiest modification. In my case, since my MOSFET sends a small current through here, I can basically get away with the easiest way. Just add a little bit of solder there, shape it, or you could take that out, and I guess if you had a longer, some trolleys have longer metal contacts, or a metal contact, it's one whole metal contact. But in my case, I could just add some on, sand it down a little bit, or cut it down a little bit until it's perfect. Remember, that stuff's poisonous. You don't want to be breathing that stuff in or eating it, or letting your dog eat it or anything. Just an example. I've never had that happen. But when we get down here, then the easiest would be to apply some right there, and you'd be able to do this basically. And it would still pull the trolley and cut off. So actually it'd be a little bit closer. I'm kind of demonstrating right now what it is. It'd be a little closer, so it'd be like this. And it would still cut off. And you'd have to do, it takes some tweaking to get it down, but your hair trigger mod would be so awesome. You have to look out for this getting abused, hitting that bump right there a little too much, and then having to replace it. But you can see a modification would be very easy this way. If you cut the arms to the cutoff and the trolley, you start messing with it a little bit. Adding to it messes with it a little bit. What happens is this has a hard time functioning, and it can lock up your selector because your selector is on the opposite side with the spring hitting the arm piece right here. So because of that, you see right in there, because of that, your selector will malfunction and so forth. So that's why I'm not messing with that. I'm making a very simple modification, but yet will lead to the same kind of hair trigger modification, and it will work just perfectly fine with very little effort. So we can see that. Plus I'll be running a better safety by locking this down here, and that's pretty much it. You could add something to the back here to extend your trigger a little bit forward, but when you do that, you need to make sure that your trigger also comes back enough that it grabs the trolley, because sometimes it doesn't. You need a little bit less here than to get behind the trolley, because if you have just enough where it looks like it's staying there and you try to come back behind it, it will just stay at that location and it can't grab the trolley the second time around. Seems that the trigger wants to come out for some reason, probably the spring. Also, depending on how hard your spring is to your trigger, can be a little bit tougher on the pull. Lighter would be a lighter pull, of course. And basically it's pretty much it. You could really mess around and take out your cutoff. You could take out the spring to your trolley. Oh, never mind, you don't want to take out the spring to your trolley. I'm thinking of something else. Don't take out the spring to your trolley. You definitely need that. You could take off the cutoff though and just be like this if you wanted to, and then hold down. So, but this way mechanically, what I'm saying, you could actually get away with too. And that's pretty much how you do a hair trigger mod. My way. Another way is to add material on the back of the trolley, just enough so it passes that small little post right there. See that small little post for the trolley? What it does is if you attach something to the back of the trolley, it will push the trolley a little bit more forward. So we'll have a new location starting. Basically it will be, let's just take this out. I don't know what the heck it's doing. It will just push the trolley a little bit more forward like this as starting location. So I've done that plenty of times, but I usually go for the easiest route, and the fact that the arm is at a good spot, the trolley is, and so is the trigger. There's very little to modify to make this perfect. So that's what I'm going to do, and that's how I would do a hair trigger mod. I said a couple things you could do different. but that's the simplest, and depending on your MOSFET or how you have it set up. If this was regular and didn't have a MOSFET, there's no way I would add solder to the trigger contact right here on the trolley, because it would just melt. That would be a big bad no. So it all depends on your setup. But there you go, there's my hair trigger mod talking about, and basically just told you a really simple way if you have the same setup. I'll catch you guys later and hit you with a fist.